For decades, building a company meant drawing a hard circle around headquarters. If a candidate lived beyond a 30-mile commute, they didn't exist. When a business required specialized skills to scale, this local talent pool would quickly run dry, bringing growth to a halt. The pandemic forced a massive work-from-home experiment, but it was largely a survival tactic. Employees simply performed traditional, synchronous office tasks from their living rooms in a disorganized way. What emerged from that period is a highly distinct model: remote staffing. This is the deliberate, permanent decoupling of talent acquisition from geography. Modern companies prioritize hunting and integrating the absolute best professionals globally. Success now depends on the ability to actively source talent anywhere on Earth. This is a permanent structural solution. Companies adopting this approach are rewriting how they compete for top-tier human capital. To understand the mechanics, we have to look at this comparison between traditional third-party outsourcing and remote staffing. With outsourcing, you hand off a service or deliverable to a vendor. You manage the final outcome, but the workers belong to the vendor. Remote staffing means you are directly hiring global specialists. You own the intellectual property, and they operate as an integrated extension of your internal team and culture. This chart visualizes the immediate cost adjustments of the model. By stripping away physical office requirements, you see a steep drop in facilities overhead and relocation expenses. You also gain the ability to hire in markets with different cost of living standards, securing elite talent at highly competitive rates. Direct global hiring requires sophisticated operational investments. To protect assets across borders, organizations reallocate capital into advanced cybersecurity and integrated collaboration platforms. Structuring roles around clear outcomes rather than physical presence allows for long blocks of deep work. By removing the constant interruptions of an open-plan office and prioritizing independent, knowledge-intensive tasks, these teams often see a measurable rise in overall productivity. Approaching a global workforce as a quick way to cut costs usually ends in failure. Treating it as a disciplined financial operating model yields a massive expansion in team capability. To achieve those productivity gains, organizations have to focus on task architecture. Success at a distance depends on how daily work is broken down and structured, rather than the specific job titles you hire for. This requires a distinct management shift. Leaders must move away from synchronous, presence-based monitoring, tracking who is at their desk, and adopt an async-first style that evaluates performance strictly by measurable outcomes. Looking at this timeline of overlapping global time zones, you can see how breaking complex roles into well-documented components pays off. AI-powered workflow platforms can distribute tasks sequentially across regions, effectively creating a continuous 24-hour cycle of execution. Running a 24-hour global operation does introduce severe legal complexity. Hiring across borders triggers a web of foreign payroll taxes, strict worker classification laws, and varying data privacy regulations. To manage this without setting up corporate entities in dozens of countries, many companies use an employer of record, or EOR. An EOR acts as the legal employer in the local jurisdiction, handling compliance, taxes, and payroll, while the employee works directly for you. Maturity in a remote staffing model is defined by the strength of its legal architecture. A company's ability to hire quickly only matters if their operational foundation can withstand the scrutiny of international tax and labor audits. A centralized workforce is physically vulnerable. If a severe weather event, regional power outage, or supply chain shock hits your headquarters, your entire operation stops. Spreading your teams across multiple jurisdictions and time zones systematically eliminates that single point of failure. If one region goes offline, teams elsewhere simply take over the load. Geographic diversity acts as a literal insurance policy. It guarantees business continuity and keeps the enterprise moving regardless of what happens in any single local market. Beyond physical resilience, this model also builds intellectual resilience. Sourcing talent beyond a local market organically increases cognitive diversity, pulling entirely new cultural contexts and perspectives into problem solving. It dismantles structural barriers, allowing companies to integrate highly skilled professionals who might be excluded by a mandatory commute. This unlocks hidden human capital, accommodating primary caregivers, individuals with physical disabilities, and talent outside major hubs. On a macro level, this dynamic actively redistributes wealth and talent. Instead of concentrating resources in a handful of expensive megacities, it bolsters economies in secondary cities and rural regions globally. Mastering global remote staffing creates a distinct operational capability. These organizations scale smarter, access elite talent pools, and maintain business continuity regardless of regional instability.